Kabanga, Nico, Akalawan, Renie Arey from Atlantic. My parents were Martha and Martha. Her parents were Charlie and Rebecca Kulua. And my dad, his parents were Eileen and Alan Ockrick. And my great-grandfather was Roger Angasak and Lizzie. So that's how far I know. I was born in Inuvik, in Atlantic, in 44. I just turned 75. Yay! Getting there. Oh, I love the age. Yeah.
Not me. I like it.
Had fun. And I was raised in the Delta. At one time, the whole Delta was just full with people. Right from over here to way down, they were just full with people. Your next door neighbor was just around the bend. It's just all over was just full with people. And then I went to residential school in 54, and I spent 8 years in jail. I love it. Anyway, that was my 8 years of being in residential school. Then after that, I got out and met my husband, and we had 5 children. Then we lived out on the land. The first part of our marriage life, we lived out there yet. I still go out every spring, but except last spring I didn't go out because my daughter was working. We got a cabin out there that we're going to go out again. And the most memorable trip that I ever had being a little girl was, I remember on and off. That was in 51 when we were at Ukivik. That's when we left with the boat with Sausage Jane, and we went to Tuck from there. I remember that woman, she had a humpback like this.
Laura Lucas.
No, bigger than her.
Navaluk Paluk.
Must have been her, yeah. That's who I met.
Navaluk Paluk.
Yeah. Yeah, that's who I seen when I was a little girl. I was 5 years old.
Broken back.
Yeah, that's who I seen.
Yeah. I know Beverly in the back of
She's half Inuvialuit. By herself across the bay, she passed.
Navaluk Paluk.
Navaluk Paluk.
We stayed 1 year. My mom got sick. She went to a clinic. In the summer, we went to Tuck. Then my mom stayed with her sister at Siliuyaq. We stayed 1 year at Tuck and then went back to Paula Tumun. Navaluk Paluk Ilicharaniyaka. Inu Palung next of time in 1951.
That's a year my mom died in 51 in February, but we went in probably in June or July, maybe July, we took off from Ukivik, then went to Tuck. I remember it was a small place, not very big that time.
Small.
Yeah.
It was just Nasugalak and Anakikut and Thomas Umak and way up is Inuvialuit.
And then from there we took off again. I don't remember being at Bailey Island. Is that Bailey Island? I don't remember being there because these elderly little ones in Tuck always tell me, you remember that time when you used to travel with your dad and them? Your dad and them? And I said, yeah. You remember when you were at Bailey Island? I said, no, that part, I don't remember that part. But I remember going to Polyduk again. And as we were going along, it was just clear, really calm. That big smoky hill was way on top there. at that time.
Yeah. Smoky
Smoke,
river.
yeah, that smoke that come out was way on top there then.
Smoky Mountain.
Yeah, that one. We were going past
We
it.
took the pictures of it.
And I remember again being in Parliament at meeting. There's elderly there that Mary.
Rubin.
Yeah, and them
Inuvik.
yeah, the sisters. I think they were sisters then at that time. And I remember.
Mary Inuvik.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I said.
I remember being there for a little while and.
Nikiakule.
Yeah.
Ilaminin alangayok. Nikiak aglisuilak.
Just a midget. Yeah.
And then when I remember being there, then we took off again. Don't know where we went, but I remember traveling along, and then we were going to Pierce Point that time. That's the time they were going gold mining. And as we were traveling along, I said this to Frank Cockney. Frank Cockney told me, I'm going to tell you a story because he was right there traveling with us. I want him to tell me if I'm doing the right thing telling this story. So I was telling him this story. One time we were really going, I said, all of a sudden big waves hit us. Now you remember over the pilot house? Water just went right over. It's like, it's like I'm sleeping and all of a sudden I get up again. Big water just splashed over us. I said to him, we must have been really going through rough water. Stop there now, he told me. So I stopped there and he said, Renie, the rest you told us all there, but this part I'm going to tell you what really happened. He said we got too close to the iceberg and that ice just went too close and that water just went right over the... We're very lucky not to get swamped.
Yeah. Dangerous.
And then what time, as we were going through, we're going along and we're really rough place we went through and they kind of didn't want to travel in that water just like this. So they had to ask my dad to drive it.
Just like when I thought it was getting windy, only one place, just water. It was a big ivory, big black whale, just like waves getting windy. I told the boat, David, my uncle, using a big boat, and I was in the back. He was an engine driving the boat. Look, it's getting windy. He looked once, he's going. He knows that it's whales, it's not the wind. I thought it was getting windy on us, just wide. About 4 of them, I think, those big black whales at Letty Harbor Island. It was so scary. I thought it was getting windy on us. The captain just take one look and then he's driving. He knows what it was.
How old were you?
My uncle David. They know David, Fred and Sandy.
Yeah.
David Rubin. He was driving the boat there, went running, look at that, getting windy. He took one look and then driving.
Hi. Kanakukiyok to dig gluten. Kanakukiyok to dig gluten.
Si umaano kakot. Sinawatanat ko akuyuit. Ivory.
Walrus. Kana ko kiyo waklo din. Kana ko kiyo tutigiblo din.
Inako frugalo. I was about 50, 60 years old. I was scared. I keep watching. Boy, that's strong wind. I run to him and pat him while he was. Now he took one look. He knows that was those whales.
Where you were born? Renie?
In the Clavic.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. 1944. And as I was telling stories where we left Politic and we were going to Pierce Point. I don't remember on and off. But I remember so clearly when we started walking up again. We walked for 3 days up in the mountains. My mother at that time had passed away in February, and she had a dog team of her own, and they took that female with them. So that was my when we started walking. You know, they had the pack sack some dogs, and that female is really big. So my dad, when he get tired of carrying me or I'm tired of walking, he'll just put me inside that, put my legs like this, and just like riding horse. And then we walked for 3 days uphill, and then we went to where they had probably they said that's where they used to dig long for gold, and we could see where the old tents used to be and whatnot, where it's open place. So we set our tent further up, and one morning we got up and we could hear all this, like it's all over on both sides of the tent. It was just caribou just going right through the tent, right through like this. But it's just got up and we. So they got one caribou, and then we started going back. We stayed out there, must be just about a week maybe. That was a trip that I never forget, going with the boat that way. It was awesome ride. A lot of elders always tell me, you remember? I said, some of them I said, yeah, I remember them, but most of them I don't remember. Like, I guess I go to sleep, get up, go to sleep, get up. A lot. Remember and don't remember.
You're talking about tuk-tuk. In my pauladung at Tauka, ang utit, aulak flidik ak nainay, kisingok flidik hayaluk. In my nudakan, Siliuyaq Simayuat, sunago pamna soka nuna sayuk doatun ipa an anigamig tuk amamagalo kakonalo kisinok simablutik kay wahagleon by thousands. And then they're in the sand spit. The little Inuvialuit to the other side sand spit. My mom and Bertha got scared. They're gonna tumble over as they go by the beach. At Karonik, they're gonna use that Sanskrit. They got their kid put in the kayak so they could push out. So many caribou. Gaiman Siliuyaq panmenak. Katiwanag nukakarit sanay. Tayo matutulak sinakpan doon. And arkabeni ikalidlunga pitsileoklunga. Apagalo, nukakalo, kisika, enekalo. I was inside the tent early in the morning having coffee with my dad. Enekalo. My canoe must have got on fire. When I was already terrible passing by the beach. With you, my canoe didn't get quite so now what you can do is
Haguna is Bertha?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bertha. Yeah, sorry to interrupt now and
Now you can tell your story now. Beautiful, beautiful lady.
Okay, and then you, from Pierce Point, where'd you go to Tuck?
We walked all the way back again, and then the boat was waiting for us down there, so we took off again. I don't remember the trail going back, cause I don't know where I was. I never counted once going back. That's the year that my mother passed away. So.
How old were you about?
About 5, when my mother passed away. So that was the most memorable that I've ever experienced traveling out on the land, and I love going out on the land. The land is so, it gives you peace, and you just enjoy it out there that you forget all your troubles. Just can't wait to go out again. Get George Inuvialuit collect on.
Renie
Unova.
Renie used to work here. Her and I worked together here. Yeah, long.
And I did a lot of interviews in our 6th community because I also work with ICS. Behind that, there used to be bigger cameras that you carry on that big thing that you can now you just made it easier for these guys now.
And I've come across photos of her on the Inuvialuit Digital Library of you interviewing.
We used to interview these guys from long ago, and awesome stories.
You guys don't have a Betamax, huh?
We do, but they're broken. I can hook you up with a place in Edmonton that'll copy it, though. They'll put it on disc for you.
And Libraries and Archives Canada is doing Betamax they will digitize it for free because Betamax machines seem hard. I mean, it seems like they even have to send to States.
You worked at Cope before that?
In the 70s, I was working for a fur shop at the time when Sam, Peter Green, and Bob Delure came to the house to our house and asked me see if I wanted to work with them because I knew my language and they wanted me to interview elders, so I had to resign from being at fur shop too. Then I worked for about 6 years with Cope. And it was just enjoyable getting the stories of peoples. interviewing elders way back when they never even had no outboard motors, nothing way back in the Delta, when there's no outboard motors, nothing, and they used to push along to go to either Fort McPherson to get their groceries, or else they went to Herschel Island to get their groceries. That's how come at the end they had to end up putting a clavicle, because the people who were going different, either there or here, to get their groceries, and they would push along with no outboard motors, nothing.
So with poles on the ground,
poles,
or
poles.
like by tugging?
Yeah, that's how come there's a drum dance on one of them, drum dance music. Somebody made a drum dance about how they push along and pulled along, and and then if there's a big wind, then they go right there.
They call it ukamak in our language, pushing along the beach, ukamak. They push a whale boat with the paddles and then pushing it and with the ukamak. With the rope pulling.
That's went back far so stories for elders long ago. There's no motors, nothing, so they had to either go back and forth, and how a lot of elders in our 6 communities working with ICS too that I interviewed, and I really enjoyed it, but I couldn't do Holman really, because with the elders there, their dialect is different. Like I'll follow along with them, then all of a sudden I'm lost.
Yeah, with Tuck, that's when I took over you. In Tuck with Muriel. Our language is different from hers too.
There's a lot of it is H and S with hers, but there's some odd different ones that like link. I say our link, we call it link, and you call it.
Different name.
Yeah, it's got different name, because I was talking to Noah Felix about link in my language, and he said, "What's that?" You know, just little ones. They're like sisters is different compared to ours too. Just the little things that are different. So we pretty well.
We say that.
It
says new dujik.
Yeah.
New to you.
Yeah.
New dujik.
Yeah.
Because one of the old ladies called me from a clinic when I did CBC. What you call a leegi? What you mean by that? I said link. So different names for different, same animals, different names, so how close we were.